This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Frank Smith here in Saudi Arabia. Frank, it's good to see you. How's life treating you?
Well, good, mate. Good. Glad to be back in Saudi Arabia. I feel like we're here non-stop at the minute, aren't we? But it is much better than the rainy weather I hear back in London.
Well, anything's better than that, Frank, and I'm glad that we're avoiding it at least for a week until we have to make that trip back. But yeah, here we are. You're the promoter for Beterbiev-Bivol, I hear. He's obviously been very keen, very fond of you. What do you make of this relationship? Tell me about the relationship you two have, because I actually remember around the time when he fought Canelo, he seemed to reference you more than Eddie in a positive manner.
Yeah, look, I'm going to grant Eddie this week the right to be up there on the top table with him and at the weigh-in. You know, I'm going to let him have his moment with him. But I've had a great relationship with, especially as well with Vadim as well, his manager. Since we've worked with Dimitri over the years and been a part of, the journey. Small part, but a part of that journey over the years, and it's been a great journey to be on, and we're finally at the pinnacle of it. Seeing an undisputed light heavyweight champion crowned finally after a long time waiting. I think with the Canelo situation, obviously Eddie was close with Canelo, but at the same time that helped us, that allowed us to then deliver the opportunity for Dimitri Bivol for that fight, which then really set his career off from there in terms of a commercial trajectory of where he is now. But yeah, it's been a great journey, a great relationship, and this is the moment he's wanted his whole career. There's been, I think without Riyadh season, we wouldn't be seeing this fight on Saturday night. So, it's great that it's finally here.
As you mentioned there, from the Canelo fight, that's what helped to get his value to skyrocket, but what he's always wanted is undisputed status, and he has the chance for that for Saturday night. If he comes through unscathed, he comes through with all of those belts, does he then, for you, rank as maybe the pound-for-pound star, or is he at least top 3, top 5? How would you see him then?
Yeah, look, he's got to be up there at that point. After beating Canelo Alvarez, who for a long period of time was up amongst the top 2, 3, 4 in people's minds of pound-for-pound stars. If he beats Artur Beterbiev on Saturday night, which I truly believe he does, he deserves to be up and amongst that group. There's no looking past Saturday night. We know what the test is. He knows what he's got to do. He knows how good Artur Beterbiev is. But I believe he can get the win in there, and 100% I think he'll get respect then for being amongst those names up there, the likes of your Usyks, your Terence Crawfords, etc. He'll be up and amongst those guys.
What's the key for, I know you're not somebody to give these tactical breakdowns, but you're going in there with a man with 20 fights, 20 knockouts, who's vicious, aggressive, loves to come forward. He's had success against Matchroom previously with Callum Smith. What's the key with Dimitri Bivol in this fight and trying to keep Artur Beterbiev at bay?
I think his elite skill set, we saw it in the Canelo Alvarez fight. He found a way every time, with Canelo Alvarez. Again, as you say, I'm not the tactician. I'm not going to sit here and profess to come up with a game plan of how Dimitri Bivol beats Artur Beterbiev. I just truly believe when Dimitri Bivol is in there against the best, he goes up in levels. I think sometimes, and I said it in a few interviews, his momentum, he hasn't got the same motivation in a number of these fights that he not should have, but it happens to a lot of these high-level fighters that he comes down in levels. When he fought Canelo Alvarez, you saw the best of Dimitri Bivol. I think when you saw him, even his last fight against Malik Zinad, you saw an improved Dimitri Bivol because he'd been focused on this, on this moment of June 1st where he was supposed to fight Artur Beterbiev of being the best. And I think you'll see that on Saturday night as well. You will see the best version of Dimitri Bivol, who will go in there and deliver the performance of his life, because this is what he's waited his whole life for. It wasn't about the Canelo Alvarez fight. Without that fight, the commercial stardom and the fans may not be there as much. But for him, it's about showing he's the best, and he does that on Saturday night if he beats Artur Beterbiev.
I know all eyes and all focus will be on Saturday night, Frank, but I'm sure you saw Canelo's comments prior to the Belanga fight where he mentioned he'd like to run it back with Dimitri Bivol. Have there been any conversations? I know you guys are going to be focusing on this, but in the background with Canelo's team about if Dimitri comes through, we can revisit this fight?
No, we haven't on this end, especially with Vadim, we've had no conversations about what's next. It's been fully focused on October 12th. There's been delays with this fight. We're finally here. He knows how big of a night it is. He knows how tough of a fight it is. We're not looking past Saturday night. I think You know, the Canelo Alvarez fight is a natural fight. He'll want the opportunity to fight for all those belts at 175. It may also be an opportunity, though, for Dimitri to go to 168. It's something he's spoken about in the past. If he feels like he can still do that and comfortable doing that, it's something we have explored in the past. Could be a fight he goes down to 168 to try and become a world champion there, take on Canelo Alvarez there. You know, there's a lot of great fights to be made, but I think he's got to get through Saturday, and then he'll decide what drives him at that point. Because he's got money, then he's undisputed, he's proven to everyone he's the best. What does he then want? You know, and only he can be the one to decide that. I'm not saying he retires, but I'm just saying what drives you at that point.
Another potential option, and Turki Al-Sheikh has mentioned a potential fight with Jai Opetaia, the winner of Saturday night versus Jai Opetaia. It doesn't seem like somebody who would quite fill out at cruiserweight. Dimitri, this is it something which, again, you've had conversations with about the potential of a fight with Mr. Opetaia, somebody else you also represent?
Yeah, I don't, as you say, especially when we're talking about someone who could look at going to 168 as well, it's such a big jump, that jump to £200. I mean, it would be a stylistically great fight, but whether it's realistic, you know, again, something only Dimitri Bivol can decide. And he'll be the one. There's great fights at 175 as well, like I say, and that, not speaking on his behalf, but I would think that would be his focus. But anything's possible in the sport. We've written off a lot of things in the past that have ended up happening, so let's not say never.
Just away from that, some other fighters of Matchrooms on the card, as we mentioned, Jai Opetaia, Jack Massey. What's it been like, and how frustrating has it been for Matchroom that you haven't quite so far been able to get that unification fight that he so craved? Jack Massey, a tough, durable competitor, but this is a fight where everybody's expecting Jai Opetaia to once again produce a dominant performance against the Brit.
Yeah, look, I think Jack Massey is someone who probably hasn't got the respect. Rightly or wrongly, I think you see that Joseph Parker fight he had where he gave him a real fight in that. And again, you've seen then since that fight what Joseph Parker has gone on to do in his career. I think it's going to be a test. They're all tests, but he wants the unifications. I see the IBF have also ordered a mandatory as well for Jai again, a name that I couldn't even tell you.
I mean, I have actually missed that, so I wasn't aware of that.
I'll find it. I'm definitely sure that is correct. But that is where we got to focus on then delivering the unification fight. You know, obviously on November 16th, Chris Billam-Smith is a fight that's been spoken about a lot. You know, the winner of that fight in a unification against Opetaia, that's the kind of fight we got to look for.
What do you make of Billam-Smith and Zerdo?
Look, I think Chris Billam-Smith's an underdog that's been written off since day one and not really given the chance. You know, and everyone's always thought he's overachieved. You know, I love Chris Billam-Smith. We've worked with him for many years. I've got a great relationship with him. But he's someone who has gone on and done a lot more than many people expected. I think even more than we would have expected. And fair play to him. He's worked his arse off. He's a lovely bloke and he deserves it. I think it's a real fight. But you can't count Chris Billam-Smith out because he's shown time and time again that he deserves to be at that level when being written off time and time again. So yeah, it's a proper fight, and I'd love to see Chris Billam-Smith get the win.
You've also got Sky Nicholson versus Raven Chapman on this card on Saturday night, Frank. It's not been the happiest of times when you've gone up against Queensberry, but this is the one where I think most people see this as Sky being a big favourite.
We've had that a few times though. We've had that a few times where we're big favourites and it doesn't go the way. So, but hopefully we get a couple of points on the board. It's a great fight as well, you know, and obviously the first female world title fight in Saudi Arabia. So I'm excited to see it. But hopefully we get some points on the board and it can kickstart the change of the guard and we can go back to winning ways into next year.
I know people are talking about another potential 5 versus 5 which has been explored. When would you look to maybe do something like that once again?
I think there's a lot of talk about it. You know, it was a format that, you know, created a lot of buzz. And I think it's definitely something we'd look to do again. When the date is, we'll wait and see. I'm hopefully be news soon, but definitely intention from both sides to get that going because we don't want to leave it as it is at 10-0. And let's forget about the other results in between that didn't form part of the 5v5. And let's start again next year and hopefully we get a win 10-0 the other way around.
Have you turned up in a maid's outfit yet?
I haven't. Do you know what? I'm waiting for my tailor to send back the maid's outfit with the stockings that fit.
It seems like you're trying to get out of it now, Frank.
Oh no, do you know what? I just haven't been in the country long enough to get to Hertfordshire from Brentwood. It's a long way, but you know, we'll see. We'll see.
Frank, 2 years today. Do you know why that rings a bell?
Yeah, someone told me earlier. I didn't actually remember it myself. It was the date of the original Eubank Ben show at the O2, which didn't happen. But yes.
How do you reflect on this past 2 years, the ups and downs, all of the appeal processes? How would you sum it all up at this moment in time?
It's been a ride. I think we'd learned a lot. I think we learned a lot after that situation as well. You know, life's all about learning and taking your learnings and doing better moving forward. I'm not sure, you know, I think there were mistakes made by a number of different people and we learned from it. You know, I never thought it would be going on like it's gone on. Hopefully we're nearing the end, because 2 years ago, as you say, you just reminded me. Yeah, it's one of those things. But like I say, a learning experience. And we all need learning experiences and take things from it. Don't always make 100% the right decision here, there, and that's life. You know, but it's about being able to sit there and go, actually, we learnt from that. It has dragged on, and hopefully we're near the end.
Where do things currently sit with Mr. Ben, Frank? I did a Zoom interview with Tony Sims at the end of September, and in that interview he said towards the end of this month he was hopeful of having a resolution from all of the appeal processes. Have you had an update? Have you got something you can tell us?
No, still that expectation. I feel like when we set dates on it, though, and then they don't come through, everyone goes, well, you said this, so it's easier now to go, I feel like we're nearing the end, if I'm honest. But when that exact date is, I'm not going to sit here and say that to you, but we're nearing the end, and hopefully we get some good news soon.
Away from all of that talk, Dubois-Joshua 2, looking more and more likely as the next up for AJ, the rematch?
I think it's the fight that makes the most sense. I think when you look at AJ's career and where he is, it's the fight he needs to go into as well to be motivated. It's not worth, you know, that's my opinion. You know, I'm not talking on his behalf. He makes the decisions at the end of the day. We're here to give advice. We're here to help. But he's the boss. He always has been the boss. And, you know, it's a fickle sport where he went in there. It's elite sport. And if we all knew who the winners were going to be, it'd be boring. And we wouldn't be in a business and no one would bother watching. You know, he got caught with a massive shot in the first round. Never really recovered, but showed his fight, motivation, desire to carry on. You know, if he didn't, people talk about motivation and desire. If he didn't have desire, he'd just go, do you know what, in the first round, what am I bothering? Got enough money. So he's still got that fight, he's still got that desire, he knows what he needs to do. He's been in this situation before. You know, he had it with Andy Ruiz, he got straight back in there when he got the win. Alexander Usyk went straight back in there in a closer fight the second time round against arguably one of the best fighters on the planet in the, you know, current times. So it's nothing new to him. You know, and I don't think anyone gets the sort of, I'm not sure if hate's the right word, but everyone's got a view on Anthony Joshua. He should retire. Daniel Dubois should have retired after the Joe Joyce fight, according to a lot of fans. So it's such a fickle sport that you can't really read too much. Everyone's allowed their opinion, but you can't really read too much into it. And I think he's the victim of a lot more. I'm not saying he is a victim, he doesn't feel like it, but a lot more people, everyone's got an opinion on he should retire, he's finished, he's this, that, the other. It's heavyweight boxing. That's why we love to watch it.
On that note, Frank, and you mentioned how AJ went back in with Usyk, he went back in with Ruiz. Stylistically, would you say this is more of a difficult fight? Because when people spoke about Usyk, they mentioned him looking to use his weight more, looking to come forward, to be more aggressive, go down to the body, what have you. Spoke about Ruiz and how he could work around him and him being like kind of flat-footed. With Dubois, heavy-handed guy, dominated him for 5 rounds, and when I speak to people about the AJ fight, they say he can win, but they never really kind of give a way for him to win a rematch. Do you think stylistically this is a more difficult fight for him to try and right the wrong of?
But I think when you look at stylistically in the build-up to that fight, everyone said this is the way he beats him, right? So at that point, he could beat him. At that point, he was favourite. Got caught. Heavyweight boxing. Got caught, never recovered, and, you know, was never the same. So, yes, stylistic. Nothing's changed since the first fight. Can still beat you. But obviously, Daniel Dubois is going to have a lot more confidence going into the second fight. But same as Andy Ruiz would have a lot more confidence going into the second fight after that. Like, I don't think again, people whole perception and views change off the back of it and go, can't beat him. The other week he could beat him and he was a favourite. So I'm not saying. By the way, I thought he was the favourite going into the fight. I thought he was going to win. He got beat by the better man on the night. Doesn't mean you write him off then that there's no chance of beating him. You know, how many rematches have we seen that go the opposite way? So I'm not a tactician. I'm not going to sit here and say this is how he beats him. Again, I'd be talking a load of garbage. It's not my job. That's for Ben Davison, Lee Wiley, Barrett, to put a plan in place alongside Anthony Joshua. But nothing's changed. Before the fight, no one was going, well, he can't win this fight. And stylistically, it's not the wrong fight for him. It's a hard fight. But again, it's elite level heavyweight boxing. It should be hard. That's the truth.
I'm sure you saw Tyson Fury's comments. He's adamant the two of them have to face off. This is out with AJ. That is, even if they're 50, they have to fight each other. Is that somewhat music to the ears, that Tyson speaking still like he wants this fight, no matter what defeats might be on AJ's record, what defeats might be on Fury's record? Tyson still adamant these two will cross paths at some point.
I've never agreed with him more.
But might be the only time you've agreed with him.
I know. No, there's probably been some others. Yeah, look, it's great to hear. That is a fight that has to happen. And I think, again, we put too much in boxing on, or someone's lost, they're finished. It's about seeing great fights that people buy into. That is a fight that people buy into. That is a fight that people will want to see. Win, lose, draw, wherever these guys go, there will always be that interest there. And I believe that fight will happen. And I believe we would all be wrong if we didn't make that, between us all, if that fight didn't happen. And I believe you'll see it.
Just a couple of others from me, Frank. 2 weeks on Saturday. Catchwell Pro Grade back up in Manchester. A rescheduled date once again. What are you expecting from this fight? Yeah,
look, it's a fight, I think, obviously with the delays. Any time a fight is delayed, you sort of loses a bit of buzz. Just honestly, it's a great fight. You got Jack Catterall coming off the back of that Josh Taylor win, an amazing fight in Leeds. Just the best. It felt like old British boxing nights that night in Leeds. A great night there. You got Regis Prograis. Again, he's one of those. He got beat by Devin Haney, and people write him off. And it's like, wait a minute. His performance against Zorilla wasn't great. Yep. But he got beat by Regis Prograis, a brilliant fighter, who we've seen what he's gone on and done, or done before that. So I think it's a great fight in the 140 division. I think it sets the two up for brilliant fights. World title opportunities. There's the Josh Taylor rematches there again. It's a fight people would be interested in. So it's a big fight in the division.
Paro Hitchings, I'm sure that's a fight which both men will be keeping one eye on as well. Your thoughts on that fight after being signed, sealed and delivered, and also why go back to Puerto Rico?
Yeah, look, I think when Paro beat Subriel Matias in Puerto Rico, our focus, we wanted to deliver the biggest possible fight. Whether that was Devin Haney, whether that was Teofimo Lopez, all of these you saw Isaac Cruz, Valenzuela, that fight. We wanted to deliver the biggest possible fight. He was willing to fight anyone. He did not shy away from any opportunity. He was willing to take on any of those names, going the biggest possible fights. It didn't play out, so the reality was Richardson Hitchens is mandatory. Let's get that up and running. It's a great fight as well. We obviously promote both guys, but a brilliant fight. And, Liam Parra, in all fairness to him, like I say, wanted to take on any challenge. Puerto Rico, you mentioned there, it is a bit different. But we were originally planning to do Hitchens against possibly Pedraza in Puerto Rico. And we had a deal with the government and the tourism board in Puerto Rico for that date. And then when it played out with the IBF, being a mandatory, etc., we've done all the deals for it to go to Puerto Rico, hence why it's there. And look, no different to taking a fight to any other, like where a tourism board or someone wants to put up funds to bring great events. It was a great atmosphere the first time around. Liam Parra built up a big fan base off the back of that Matias fight, and I think it's going to be packed out in there. We've got a great Puerto Rican undercard as well, so I'm excited to be back there.
Right, Frank, it's a pleasure to catch up. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your time here in Riyadh if I don't see you before Saturday. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck in trying to get one back over Frank Warren.
Cheers, mate. Nearly there.